lovers, welcome to Free Spirit Equestrian. My name is Shay, and today we're going to be talking about equestrian horse lingo. So you may have heard us throwing out some of these crazy terms, and you're like,
I have no idea what they're talking about.
And maybe you want to learn this because you're getting into horses, or it could be that you've signed your child up for horseback riding lessons and you want to have a better understanding so you know what we're talking about, or maybe it just interests you in general. Whatever the reason may be, we're going to go over 15 basic terms that us as equestrians use on a regular basis. I hope this helps you to understand them better and that you enjoy. Thanks, horse lovers! All right, so I got my list with me here, so I'm going to go over a few of these terms, okay? We're going to do 15 today, and I'm super excited. I really hope that this helps you guys out. Okay, so the first one is lame, L-A-M-E. Okay, so when we're saying a horse is lame, we're not talking about they're not cool, they're boring, whatever. We're talking in terms of the horse's soundness, which this is a bonus word. Sound for a horse means that they're not lame, which means that they're moving well, that there's no injury or apparent head bobbing, or that they're not off while they're moving, okay? So that's essentially what lameness is. When we say a horse is lame, it's clear that there's an issue in their movement. Like I said, it could be the head bobbing, it could be they're taking missteps, but clearly the horse is sore. So that is the first term, okay? Lame. The second one, broke. When we're saying a horse is broke, we're not talking about they're broken. We're talking about they're broke as in they've had some training. Broke is a very, very wide term in the horse world. People think broke is X, Y, and Z. Basically, when a horse is broke, they're able to be ridden, to put it in very simple terms. They can walk, trot, canter, they've done a little bit, that kind of thing. So that is what broke means. All right. The next one, green. So when we're talking about a horse stating that they are green, we're not talking about they're green in color. We're talking about they're green as in this horse hasn't had a lot of experience yet. So they could be really young, they could have just started their training, they could have sat for a really long time and now they're considered green because they're not seasoned and experienced. So basically that is what the term green means. They've had some training, but they're still a little inexperienced. The next term we're going to talk about is a farrier. So a farrier is a professional who comes out every, it just depends, 3 to 8 weeks, and they trim the horse's hooves and they can nail on shoes. They can do various things to help our horses out, and it's a big necessity. So when we're talking about the person that comes out, trims the horses, takes care of their hooves, we're speaking about the farrier, okay? F-A-R-R-I-E-R, farrier. Okay. So the next term we're going to talk about is the frog, since that kind of relates to a farrier. So the frog, which I have pictured here, is basically a part of the hoof, and it sort of looks like a triangle, as you can see. Now this part of the hoof is soft and more sensitive tissue. The hoof is a little more hard, kind of like a nail, but the frog is more sensitive. So when we're talking about a frog, we're not talking about the amphibian. We're talking about the frog on the horse's hoof. Okay, the next term is groom. So grooming the horse is something that we do in our basic care, brushing the horse, picking their hooves, brushing their mane, anything like that. That is what a groom is, grooming the horse. There's also professionals that are professional grooms that are very, very good. Usually they groom horses for shows or whatever reason. So that can also be another term for groom. Okay, so the next term that we're going to talk about is hands. So horses are measured in hands. So when you hear 14.1 hands, the hands is the measurement for what we determine the horse's height is, okay? So I don't know the exact translation between it, but some horses are measured in inches, but that's usually more so for ponies, okay? The next one, lunge. So when you hear the term lunge, we're talking about lunging the horse for exercise. So this is an exercise that is done on the ground, and we have a lead rope attached to the horse, and basically, in very, very simple basic terms, we're having the horse do circles around us. Now, it is so much more than that. But just for understanding the term, it's basically doing groundwork, which is essentially working with the horse from the ground. And lunging is something that a lot of people do before they ride a horse or when they're training a horse. And it's basically when you're standing there holding the line and giving your horse direction. So that is what the term lunge means. Okay, tack. When we're talking about horse tack, we're talking about saddles, bridles, anything that we put on the horse while we're riding them. So that is what tack is. Pretty simple. The next one, turnout. So when we say we're turning the horses out, it means we're putting them out in the pasture or the paddock so that they can go and play with their friends, so that they can roam around. So turnout is a term that's referred to as the horse not being in the stall. They're turned out in the field or in the paddock. Also with turnout, that can have another meaning too. So if someone's going to a horse show, and someone says, well, how was your turnout? It means, how well did you groom the horse? How polished did you look? How put together? How much effort did you put into grooming that horse? And how much effort did you put into your appearance? Like when you come out in the ring, what's your turnout? What are you looking like? How's your tack? Is everything clean? So that can be another term for turnout as well. All right. Aids. So when we're talking about aids when we're riding, we're not talking about a first aid kit or anything like that. We're talking about what we use as a rider to give the horse direction and to communicate with them effectively. So aids can be something as just using your leg, putting a little pressure on them. It could be using your reins, using your seat, which is basically using your pelvic area, your buttocks, and your hips to give your horse direction. Aids can also be something like spurs, which you put on the back of your boot, or it can be a whip. Those are what aids are. So when we're talking about aids, that's what we're referring to. The next one, socks. So when we're talking about socks, we're not talking about socks that we put on our feet. Now, there are socks for horses, and I do have some, so let me just say that. They're really cool. They're called Silver Winnies. I really, really love them. Anyways, socks are basically a term that's used for color and pattern on a horse. So a horse might have socks on their legs. So that's what it's referred to. Some horses don't have any white on their legs, so they don't have socks. So let's say you have a chestnut, which would be a red horse, and then they have white legs. Those are called socks, okay? So they can have half socks where it's just half the leg. Their whole leg could be a sock, even smaller than that. So that's what we're referring to when we're talking about socks on horses. It's basically a characteristic of their pattern, color, however you want to describe it. Next one, loud. When we're talking about a loud horse, we're not talking about them being loud volume-wise. We're talking about their color. It's really flashy, really fantastic, really unique, loud. So us Appaloosa enthusiasts, me, we like loud horses, okay? So it could be they have tons of spots, or they're a paint and they have a really fun pattern, something that just stands out. That is what we call loud. It's an attention grabber. Okay, forelock. A lot of people don't know what the forelock is. So horses have manes. A lot of people do know what the mane is. So it's the part of their hair that's on their neck. That's called their mane. Of course, they have a tail. Their forelock is essentially their bangs. So it's the part in the front of their face that hangs down. So that's what we refer to as the forelock. By the way, don't ever cut the forelock because it takes a really long time to grow back. Okay, next one. Last one, okay? 15, woo! Okay, so easy keeper. When you hear a horse person say a horse is an easy keeper, it means they're chunky. No, it just means that they're a lot easier to maintain. They don't require as much grain or supplements or anything such as that. So they kind of just keep their weight and maintain that, and they don't really need a ton of additional calories. So that's what we call an easy keeper. All right. Well, guys, I really hope that this little clip was helpful to you in understanding some terms. We are going to do another one, but I just wanted to start off with these basics so that you can kind of understand them and study them and go from there. I hope that you liked it. If you did, if you could hit that subscribe button and the like button, we would really appreciate it. Really, really enjoying this, guys. I hope you are too. Thanks, horse lovers. Have a great day.